There's a message tonight for those out there ripping off hurricane victims.
Our investigative team has been keeping an eye on potential price gouging of gas, water, and hotels since before the storm hit here.
Yeah, I noticed how you were doing that and not helping people prepare for it.
Hey, I'm gonna show you why nobody has no water.
They have no water because a hurricane hit. This isn't rocket science.
People out here struggling for water, and they out here marking the price up, selling it high as hell.
And what would happen if they didn't? First of all, they might not even be out there at all. There are expenses involved in bringing bottled water in from elsewhere. Second, the first 3 people in line would buy it all up and hoard it. And you wouldn't be making this video because there would be no bottled water left to video.
Man, this water's like $3, dude. It's $3. That's why nobody can't find water, because people out here like you sitting there trying to make profit off a crisis.
Yes, by bringing more water to the area. What, do you really think that this water would just be sitting there without the efforts of the people who bought it and transported it to that location?
We hit the streets before the first drop of rain hit Austin Friday. We were looking for potential gas and hotel price gouging.
Notice how they weren't bringing water to anyone. They were looking for a story, not handing out vital supplies to people who would shortly need it.
We found gas prices from as low as $1.99 to as high as $2.49 a gallon.
Wow, that's cheaper than what it is here. So what's your beef? Did they raise the price of gasoline so people would only get it if they needed it and not hoard it or use it for non-essentials like their lawnmower or whatever?
There's nothing wrong with a free market, but this isn't a free market. This is an unusual market when you have a storm like this, created such devastation.
Well, I don't see you handing out supplies either. But what this so-called price gouging does is give people an incentive to bring in much-needed supplies from the outside. People who aren't even in the business of selling water will go to Walmart or wherever, buy up a whole bunch, and bring it to the area. Of course they're going to be selling it at a much higher price. If it weren't for the higher price, they wouldn't be able to afford to do that at all. And then people would have less water to drink. How is that a better outcome?
The AG's office is looking for people jacking prices up on gas, bottled water, and hotel rooms.
But not looking for people who can actually supply these things. It's the AG, not the price gougers, who are putting lives at risk for nothing more than his unpolitical posturing. And it's KXAN who are putting those lives at risk for profit. Or is this station non-profit, huh? Care to show us your 501c3 paperwork? Didn't think so. In fact, it looks to me like you're owned by Nexstar Media Group. So how much money did you and your corporate overlords make off of this story, huh?
We're also anticipating that as time goes on, we're going to see more as far as home repairs and potentially roofing, and so...
Good! That means people will get the supplies that they need to make repairs. Whenever some arrogant politician like Paxton actually does manage to stop price gouging, these supplies go away entirely. Because the first lucky few people buy up the supply and hoard them, while there's little to no incentive for people to bring in new supplies from the outside. With the higher price, you ensure that people only buy the supplies they need to get them through the short term, and only for necessities like home repairs, not repairing their tool shed or something else like that can really wait. And believe it or not, it puts lower income people in a position to outbid rich people, since rich people don't have as much of a need for those supplies. It sounds counterintuitive, but to anyone who understands the concept of marginal utility, it makes perfect sense. Also, the higher price is a signal, telling people in surrounding areas and even further out to bring in more plywood or water or whatever, and that increases the supply, bringing the price back down. And remember, if the price really is set too high, that's just an opportunity for another entrepreneur to come in and undercut them. If that isn't happening, it can only mean that this is the price that is needed to get those supplies in, while allowing the people doing it to make a tiny bit of money in the process.
For us, it's an ongoing effort that will continue well after the storm is gone.
So who's going to decide who gets how much of these very limited supplies? It's not going to be you, Paxton, or you, Jody Barr, as you sit there and arrogantly pretend to listen to that punk so you can make money with your little story, blatantly taking advantage of people's fifis instead of out there doing things that can actually help people. The fact is, no one knows how much plywood or water or anything else certain people need. By allowing the price mechanism to work, you allow it to be set where people only buy enough to satisfy the marginal utility above the higher price. This is just more authoritarianism. Arrogant, know-nothing snobs who don't look to me like they're the ones doing without water, who have their own idea about how much something is worth, and like all authoritarians, they consider their own subjective opinion, which isn't even being forced to act in the margins the way hurricane victims are, to be the one true objective fact. And they'll force it on everyone else to their own misery, having convinced them that they're the ones riding in on a white horse to save them, not the people who went the extra mile bringing in much-needed supplies. It's people like Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton and KXAN stooge Jody Barr taking advantage of suffering people in a time of crisis, profiting at the detriment of innocent hurricane victims. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, why not hit like and subscribe? And to make sure I can keep producing content, support this channel by becoming a patron. And check out all the other great content here, like this video selected especially for you.